Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you all being here. Sorry, give me 1 second. Put this on. So taking a look upstairs, and I have to admit, I haven't had a chance to see all of the projects in close detail yet, but these projects are supremely awesome. Supremely awesome. I feel like inherently you all are, yes. I think you're all infinitely cooler than I was in high school, junior high, or elementary school. I wore really thick glasses and wore terrible shirts, so not a lot has changed, clearly. And I'm pretty sure that if you all are inventing stuff this cool and this dynamic at this age, who knows what you guys are going to be doing in college. That's amazing, and it means that even though I have a chance to work on behalf of the president, when the president leaves his job, I leave my job as well. So I'm going to be coming to all of you and asking for a job pretty soon. So keep working, because I'm going to need to be employed. But I think I really want to start by thanking both the STEMIE Coalition as well as my colleagues from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for hosting this amazing, amazing event. I know that the coalition not only represents a lot of the work that you all are doing, but think about this. You are across a number of states, and in just a few years will literally have a footprint in every single state in this country. And given the fact that there's a select few of you here today, you are representing your schools, your communities, other school districts, kids that don't even know about this opportunity yet. You're at the forefront of that, and that's going to come to a school district near them too. So that's pretty awesome, and those are really bright minds that we need to be celebrating today. And I think the reason that's really important is because what we're able to do today is take everything that you're learning in the classroom, science textbooks, math textbooks, even history textbooks and English textbooks, and apply that knowledge and harness it to design and create solutions to improbable challenges seen across the world. And I think that that's not only quite cool, but if you think about every single invention that you've ever used or heard of, from the sewing machines that are responsible for the clothes on your back, to the smartphones and iPads that I'm sure I know your parents when you're at the kitchen table using, all of those products have passed through these halls. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has been able to give them the grant of protection in the marketplace, and so every single idea that you've seen in the world having moved through this building, your ideas are now moving through this building, and that's a really, really cool opportunity. I just wanted you all to take a moment to appreciate that. But before we get started, I also think that we need to acknowledge your parents and teachers who have unabashedly stood by your side. It's the reason that just a few weeks ago, President Obama honored teachers. It's a reason that just a few weeks ago, President Obama honored teachers from around the country with the National Teacher of the Year Award. It's the reason that many of you all are here. They inspire you, they nurture you. Sometimes they give you detention, sometimes they take your phone away. But no matter what, everyone in this room, even the parents of friends that you haven't met yet, they're all going to be your strongest advocates. And this day is just as much as their day as it is yours. So again, let's give you all another round of applause. So I just want to remind all of you that everything that you've accomplished as a school, as a community, as individuals who have built things with your own hands and your own ideas, all of it is a really keen reminder that this entire country was built on the back of pioneers just like you. Pioneers that were willing to challenge traditions, pioneers that were willing to ask why or why not, pioneers that were willing to push the boundaries of popular convention, who were to ask ideas that their parents maybe thought were silly or their peers thought were crazy, but they kept persisting and they tested the limits in unfamiliar environments. And that was with confidence and curiosity and a desire to master subjects in their classrooms and create things. And that confidence and that pushing and that willingness to keep testing new ideas, that has allowed the world's greatest innovators that we've ever seen, we've ever known, to cure diseases, connect the country, light up the night sky when it's dark outside, communicate with depths of the world that maybe we haven't even met before or seen before. That's the power of what invention and innovation can do, and I know a number of you are doing just as equal awe-inspiring things as inventors. I've heard that there's a Braille keyboard that clips into an iPad, so that way the visually impaired can also play games on their tablets. I've heard that there's new sports training systems that have been built to enhance the ball placement abilities of athletes in sports. Lord knows I need that. I don't think I could carry a ball for the life of me. But the example that you set today, it not only inspires your peers or your towns, it inspires all of us, and it paints a very clear picture. And for all of the students participating today, I know that I probably just seem like a boring old guy talking to you before the fun starts, but if you just listen to one thing, it's got to be this, that when you actually study and excel at what you're good at, and you focus and pay attention to those subjects in the classroom, you're not just exercising a passion. You're not just learning something. You're not just turning in a homework assignment. You're not just winning a prize in a contest. You're actually getting the opportunity to shape the very needs and solutions that your communities are going to use, that your churches are going to use, that your neighborhoods are going to use. And so that means that your designs and your solutions, those are going to be responsible for the next great jobs that take place in America, that the next great industries take place in America. And the opportunities that sprout up in your communities can literally be written with your own two hands. So when anyone says that any of us are science nerds or math nerds or debate nerds or points to us for being proficient in one subject or not another, harness that energy, seize that talent, because that's the ball game. And I'll tell you why that's the ball game, because even though it might be to you interesting why someone who works in government and politics is talking about science and innovation, it's not oil or gas or dollars or Snapchat that are the greatest currencies in the world. Quite literally, it's the genius of your ideas. Any chance that we've had to fix anything in this world, they've come from robotics engineering. What was once revered in this world were really, really big things. Space shuttles that took off, computers that filled entire rooms. Now, the things that we all are in awe the most are the small things. The computer that once powered the room can now fit into my pocket. The space shuttle that could fly and take off with such awesome gargantuan nature is now revered for being a small flying drone that can deliver my toothbrush to my doorstep. And even 3D printers, which do amazing things, can now sit on top of my desk and print everything from necklaces to tools to on the verge of human part replacements. All of those things signal two elements in this world, that there is a shift in paradigm. That what was big is now being small, but the second thing it signals is that it's ideas and the genius behind those ideas that power us through. That's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you went to a private school or a public school. It doesn't matter if you had, you got a C in one class or an A+ in another class. It doesn't matter if you come from one background or another. If you look around the room today, even though we're not seeing all blue shirts yet, and I need to enforce that message, the message that was given, put on your blue shirts, even though we all come from different places, what unites all of us are those ideas. And I assure you that those are the same ideas that are going to power you, not just through school, but to the next great jobs. And if we've got extraordinary young people like you using your talent, using those ideas to shape families, to shape solutions in the world, then we, in the US government, we've got a responsibility to have your back. We got to give you the tools so that way you can take those ideas and protect them, and that's what the US Patent and Trademark Office does. It's this basic compact that if you take your idea and share it with the world, and this office gives you a protection with a patent or a trademark for your brand, then the next person can see what it was that you did. How did you actually invent the iPhone, you might ask of Apple? Or how, in fact, did you invent that Braille computing system? You might ask of your own peers that's here today. And that basic compact was actually so powerful that our founding fathers wrote it into the Constitution. The first person to sign their name on a patent was Thomas Jefferson. And you are literally now today in the halls of the same building that executes on that. So this is not just a handful of adults saying that you're really smart, you're really special, you're going to change the world. This is actually how the world gets changed. And you're doing it today, and you're going to keep doing it, and we couldn't be more proud of you. So we're trying to make a few more things easy so that way you can protect your technologies here. I know some of my colleagues later today are going to walk you through the specifics of that, but just to keep this in mind, we're also making it cheaper. If you're a small business or an independent inventor like many of you are today, we're giving you more discounts. If it takes too long to protect your idea, we're making sure that that happens faster in just less than 1 year. We also realize that this is pretty complicated stuff. So how do we make sure that you all are the ones that can take advantage of this system? So we've established partnerships with NASA and the Girl Scouts to make sure that invention can happen and this understanding of intellectual property can happen much earlier on. Through the White House, we actually engaged in 2 initiatives called Tech Hire and Computer Science for All, which through YMCA and different boys and girls clubs around the country, we're providing coding, training assistance, so that way if you want to learn computer programs and annoy your parents not by just playing an app at a table, but writing that app for your phone, we're going to teach you how to do that too. And these are all mini steps of the puzzle, but we're going to need your curiosity to tell us what else that we can do today. So when you do hear about those processes around how to patent and trademark later this afternoon, be blunt. If you're not getting it, that's our bad, and we need to make sure that we're giving you the right information, because as Abraham Lincoln once said, the patent system added the fuel of interest to the fire of genius. And as I mentioned, that is the only currency that matters, and that is the currency that makes you all the richest people in this room. And I think that's really important because it's that infectious curiosity to experiment and that power of intellectual property that has allowed the biotechnology and nanotechnology industries to take root. It's allowed Instagram to sprout up and Facebook to sprout up. It's what allowed Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs and Lincoln themselves to empower inventors, from kids in the classroom to kids in the dorm room and everyone in between, to create opportunity. But I want to be clear and end on a note that can sometimes feel uncomfortable. And that is, for everyone here, and I know the adults feel me on this, but particularly for the students, there are going to be bumps in the road on the way. Invention is not easy. You are here for a reason. You are representing the best and brightest for a reason, because sometimes along the way, you've probably failed. Or sometime along the way, you will fail. Or maybe your project, when you're presenting it today, maybe there's a little tweak or a glitch that you have to pull yourself to a side with your team and account for. But when you do feel like the cards are stacked against you, realize that with every misstep, you're learning 2 things. Number 1, you're learning a little bit more about who you are. And number 2, you're allowed to pick up the pieces and say, how do I do this better? So in experimentation and in invention, don't see failure or each successive step back as an error. See that as a teachable moment. See that as an opportunity. And that's going to matter for a lot of you, because some of you, maybe if you come away from today's competition or this weekend competition or next year's competition or future competitions, maybe you won't win. Maybe you won't take home the top prize. That's not reason enough to quit the organization. That's not reason enough to stop doing what you're doing. That's how change happens. You've really got to keep pushing through. And that's why these ideas matter. They're important. So you have to keep doing what you're doing. You have to keep persisting, keep experimenting, keep studying. And for the young women and girls here who do not see enough female presidents or women scientists or business executives, keep doing what you're doing. We need more of you, because that's the only way that that landscape is going to change. And I assure you, that the bravery that each of you are taking here today is tremendous, because you might just think that you're here participating for a weekend in Washington, D.C., but that bravery is literally a risk on an idea. Someone along the way may have said that's a good idea. Someone along the way may have doubted it, but in the future there are going to be more doubters and more supporters. Keep taking those risks, Because when we share that innovation with the world, and when you stand up there in your semicircles and you're pitching to one another on your ideas, you're not just here competing shoulder to shoulder. You're teaching your other peers, one from one part of the country to another part of the country, what it is that you did. And in the same way I said the intellectual property system allows us to share that information to the world, keep it yours, it's your idea, but sharing that, we can stand on each other's shoulders and build bridges between one invention of the past and one invention to the future. And think about that for a second. We've all seen an older version of the iPod or the iPad, and we've seen future successions. How did that happen? New inventions and iterative steps. So we all stand on the shoulder of giants. So you all need to keep sharing that information, because that's how we create bridges between technologies. But it's also how we create bridges between communities. I've never met somebody from Maine. Today I just did. And I feel like that might sound silly, but think about the fact that if it's science and ideas that's building bridges between people within our own country, think about the inventors who are competing in science competitions in Turkey or Beijing or in India. And if they see what you're doing online, or if they see YouTube videos of what you're doing or posted to Facebook, your invention is not just inspiring us in this room, it's inspiring the kid in an entire part of another country. And that is the bridge that I'm talking about, and that's the push that you are all celebrating today. So I want to thank you all, not just for taking those ideas and taking those risks, but for being the best possible types of inventors that we can have. And those are fearless folks that realize that failure is an option, that ideas do matter, and that even if you feel coming out of this that innovation and invention is not in your wheelhouse, and that you feel that I'm not a math guy or a science guy, because that's what we assume you all are, and that I'm actually an English person, or I'm really into history, that after you take your invention, you've still got to sell it. You still have got to explain to the public what it is that you're tackling. So you need to have those communication skills. You need to know the math, so that way one day you can build a business around it. So when you're talking with one another, don't just see yourselves as individuals that are either doing well in a set of subjects or not. Because as STEMIE tacks on to STEM, it's about innovation and entrepreneurship, and that takes all of our minds together and all of our assets to put together. So thank you so much, good luck today, and kick a lot of butt.